15th of April, 1912. Talk at home of Mountfort Mills, 327 West End Avenue, New York. Compiled from stenographic notes by Howard McNutt. A few days ago, I arrived in New York, coming direct from Alexandria. On a former trip, I traveled to Europe, visiting Paris and London. Paris is most beautiful in outward appearance. The evidences of material civilization there are very great, but the spiritual civilization is far behind. I found the people of that city submerged and drowning in a sea of materialism. Their conversations and discussions were limited to natural and physical phenomena, without mention of God. I was greatly astonished. Most of the scholars, professors, and learned men proved to be materialists. I said to them, I am surprised and astonished that men of such perceptive caliber and evident knowledge should still be captives of nature, not recognizing the self-evident reality. The phenomenal world is entirely subject to the rule and control of natural law. These myriad suns, satellites, and heavenly bodies throughout endless space are all captives of nature. They cannot transgress in a single point or particular the fixed laws which govern the physical universe. The sun in its immensity, the ocean in its vastness are incapable of violating these natural laws. All phenomenal beings, the plants in their kingdom, even the animals with their intelligence, are nature's subjects and captives. All live within the bounds of natural law, and nature is the ruler of all except man. Man is not the captive of nature, for although according to natural law he is a being of the earth, yet he guides ships over the ocean, flies through the air in airplanes, descends in submarines. Therefore, he has overcome natural law and made it subservient to his wishes. For instance, he imprisons in an incandescent lamp the illimitable natural energy called electricity, a material force which can cleave mountains, and bids it give him light. He takes the human voice and confines it in the phonograph for his benefit and amusement. According to his natural power, man should be able to communicate a limited distance, but by overcoming the restrictions of nature, he can annihilate space and send telephone messages thousands of miles. All the sciences and arts and discoveries were mysteries of nature, and according to natural law, these mysteries should remain latent, hidden. But man has proceeded to break this law, free himself from this rule, and bring them forth into the realm of the visible. Therefore, he is the ruler and commander of nature. Man has intelligence, nature has not. Man has volition, nature has none. Man has memory, nature is without it. Man has the reasoning faculty, nature is deprived. Man has the perceptive faculty, nature cannot perceive. It is therefore proved and evident that man is nobler than nature. If we accept the supposition that man is but a part of nature, we are confronted by an illogical statement, for this is equivalent to claiming that a part may be endowed with qualities which are absent in the whole. For man, who is a part of nature, has perception, intelligence, memory, conscious reflection, and susceptibility, while nature itself is quite bereft of them. How is it possible for the part to be possessed of qualities or faculties which are absent in the whole? The truth is that God has given to man certain powers which are supernatural. How then can man be considered a captive nature? Is he not dominating and controlling nature to his own uses more and more? Is he not the very divinity of nature? Shall we say nature is blind? Nature is not perceptive? Nature is without volition and not alive, and then relegate man to nature and its limitations? How can we answer this question? How will the materialists and scholastic atheists prove and support such a supposition? As a matter of fact, they themselves make natural laws subservient to their own wish and purpose. The proof is complete that in man there is a power beyond the limitations of nature, and that power is a bestowal of God. In New York, I find the people more endowed with spiritual susceptibilities. They are not mere captives of nature's control. They are rising out of the bonds and burden of captivity. For this reason, I am very happy and hopeful that, God willing, in this populous country, in this vast continent of the West, the virtues of the world of humanity shall become resplendent, that the oneness of human world power, the love of God, may enkindle their hearts, and that international peace may hoist its standards, influencing all other regions and countries from here. This is my hope. April 16th, 1912. Talk at Hotel Ansonia to Baha'i Friends of New Jersey, Broadway and 73rd Street, New York. Notes by Ahmad Sohrab. Souls from the East and West have been brought together here through the power of the Holy Spirit. Such a gathering as this would be impossible through material means. A meeting of this kind has never been established in New York. For here tonight we find people from remote regions of the earth, associated with the people of America in the utmost love and spiritual unity. This is only possible through the power of God. Christ appeared in this world 1900 years ago to establish ties of unity and bonds of love between the various nations and different communities. He cemented together the sciences of Rome and the splendors of the civilization of Greece. He also accomplished affiliation between the Assyrian kingdom and the power of Egypt. The blending of these nations in unity, love, and agreement had been impossible. But Christ, through divine power, established this condition among the children of men. A much greater difficulty confronts us today when we endeavor to establish unity between the Orient and the Occident. Baha'u'llah, through the power of heaven, has brought the East and the West together. Ere long we shall know that they have been cemented by the power of God. The oneness of the kingdom of humanity will supplant the banner of conquest, and all communities of the earth will gather under its protection. No nation with separate and restricted boundaries, such as Persia, for instance, will exist. The United States of America will be known only as a name. Germany, France, England, Turkey, Arabia, all these various nations will be welded together in unity. When the people of the future are asked, to which nationality do you belong? The answer will be, to the nationality of humanity. I am living under the shadow of Baha'u'llah. I am the servant of Baha'u'llah. I belong to the army of the Most Great Peace. The people of the future will not say, I belong to the nation of England, France, or Persia. For all of them will be citizens of a universal nationality, the one family, the one country, the one world of humanity. And then these wars, hatreds, and strifes will pass away. Baha'u'llah appeared in a country which was the center of prejudice. In that country, there were many different communities, religions, sects, and denominations. All the animosities of past centuries existed among them. They were ready to kill each other. They considered the killing of others who did not agree with them in religious belief an act of worship. Baha'u'llah established such unity and agreement between these various communities that the greatest love and amity are now witnessed among them. Today, the Baha'is of the East are longing with deep desire to see you face to face. Their highest hope and fondest wish is that the day may come when they will be gathered together in an assembly with you. Consider well the power that accomplished this wonderful transformation. The body of the human world is sick. Its remedy and healing will be the oneness of the kingdom of humanity. Its life is the most great peace. Its illumination and quickening is love. Its happiness is the attainment of spiritual perfections. It is my wish and hope that in the bounties and favors of the blessed perfection, we may find a new life, acquire a new power, and attain to a wonderful and supreme source of energy, so that the most great peace of divine intention shall be established upon the foundations of the unity of the world of men with God. May the love of God be spread from this city, from this meeting to all the surrounding countries. Nay, may America become the distributing center of spiritual enlightenment, and all the world receive this heavenly blessing. For America has developed powers and capacities greater and more wonderful than other nations. While it is true that its people have attained a marvelous material civilization, I hope that spiritual forces may animate this great body and a corresponding spiritual civilization be established. May the inhabitants of this country become like angels of heaven, with faces turned continually toward God. May all of them become the servants of the Omnipotent One. May they rise from present material attainments to such a height that heavenly illumination may stream from the center to all the peoples of the world. The divine Jerusalem has come down from heaven. The bride of Zion has appeared. The voice of the kingdom of God has been raised. May you attain supreme capacity and magnetic attraction in this realm of might and power, manifesting new energy and wonderful accomplishment. For God is your sister and helper. The breath of the Holy Spirit is your comforter, and the angels of heaven surround you. I desire this power for you. Rest assured that these bounties now overshadow you. 17th of April, 1912. Talk at home of Mr. and Mrs. Edward B. Kinney, 780 West End Avenue, New York. Notes by John G. Grundy. In the holy books, it is recorded that when the sun of truth dawns, it will appear in the east, and its light will be reflected in the west. Already its dawning has taken place in the east, and its signs are appearing in the west. Its illumination shall spread rapidly and widely in the Occident, The sun of truth has risen in Persia, and its effulgence is now manifest here in America. This is the greatest proof of its appearance in the horizon of the world, as recorded in the heavenly books. Praise be to God, that which is prophesied in the holy books has been fulfilled. On Sunday last, at Carnegie Hall, the revered soul who introduced Abdu'l-Baha gave voice to the statement that according to tradition, demons would appear from the land of the sunrise. But now we find angels appearing instead. At the time this statement was made, a reply was not possible, but today we will speak of it. The great spiritual lights that have always appeared in the East. The Blessed Perfection Baha'u'llah appeared in the East. Jesus Christ dawned upon the horizon of the East. Moses, Aaron, Joseph, and all the Israelitish prophets such as Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, and others appeared from the Orient. The lights of Muhammad and the Bab shone from the East. The eastern horizon has been flooded with the effulgence of these great lights, and only from the east have they arisen to shine upon the west. Now, praise be to God, you are living in the dawn of a cycle when the sun of truth is again shining forth from the east, illuminating all regions. The world has become a new world. The darkness of night, which has enveloped humanity, is passing. A new day has dawned. Divine susceptibilities and heavenly capacities are developing in human souls under their training of the Sun of Truth. The capacities of souls are different. Their conditions are various. For example, certain minerals come from the stony regions of the earth. All are minerals. All are produced by the same sun. But one remains a stone, while another develops the capacity of a glittering gem or jewel. From one plot of land, tulips and hyacinths grow. From another, thorn and thistles. Each plot receives the bounty of the sunshine, but the capacity to receive it is not the same. Therefore, it is requisite that we must develop capacity and divine susceptibility in order to the bounty of the Sun of Truth intended for this age and time in which we are living may reflect from us as light from pure crystals. The bounties of the Blessed Perfection are infinite. We must endeavor to increase our capacity daily, to strengthen and enlarge our capabilities for receiving them, to become as perfect mirrors. The more polished and clean the mirror, the more effulgent is its reflection of the lights of the Sun of Truth. Be like a well-cultivated garden, wherein the roses and variegated flowers of heaven are growing in fragrance and beauty. It is my hope that your hearts may become as ready ground, carefully tilled and prepared, upon which the divine showers of the bounties of the Blessed Perfection may descend, and the zephyrs of this divine springtime may blow with quickening breath. Then will the garden of your hearts bring forth its flowers of delightful fragrance to refresh the nostril of the heavenly garden. Let your hearts reflect the glories of the Sun of Truth in their many colors to gladden the eye of the divine cultivator who has nourished them. Day by day, become more closely attracted in order that the love of God may illumine all those with whom you come in contact. Be as one spirit, one soul, leaves of one tree, flowers of one garden, waves of one ocean. As differences in degree of capacity exist among human souls, as difference in capability is found, Therefore, individualities will differ one from another. But in reality, this is a reason for unity and not for discord and enmity. If the flowers of a garden were all of one color, the effect would be monotonous to the eye. But if the colors are variegated, it is most pleasing and wonderful. The difference in adornment of color and capacity of reflection among the flowers gives the garden its beauty and charm. Therefore, although we are of different individualities, different in ideas, and of various fragrances, let us strive like flowers of the same divine garden to live together in harmony. Even though each soul has its own individual perfume and color, all are reflecting the same light, all contributing fragrance to the same breeze which blows through the garden, all continuing to grow in complete harmony and accord. Become as waves of one sea, trees of one forest, growing in the utmost love, agreement, and unity. If you attain to such a capacity of love and unity, the blessed perfection will shower infinite graces of the spiritual kingdom upon you, guide, protect, and preserve you under the shadow of His word, increase your happiness in this world, and uphold you through all difficulties. Therefore, it is my hope that day by day you will become more and more effulgent in the horizon of heaven, advance nearer and nearer toward the Abha, kingdom of Abha, attain greater and greater bounties of the blessed perfection. I am joyful, for I perceive the evidences of great love among you. I go to Chicago, and when I return, I hope that love will have become infinite. Then will it be an eternal joy to me and the friends in the Orient. The 18th of April, 1912. Talk at home of Mr. and Mrs. Marshall L. Emery, 273 West 90th Street, New York. Notes by Miss Dixon. Tonight I wish to tell you something of the history of the Baha'i revelation. The blessed perfection, Baha'u'llah, belonged to the nobility of Persia. From earliest childhood, he was distinguished among his relatives and friends. They said, "This child has extraordinary power in wisdom, intelligence, and as a source of new knowledge. He was advanced beyond his age and superior to his surroundings." All who knew him were astonished at his precocity. It was usual for them to say, "Such a child will not live," for it is commonly believed that precocious children do not reach maturity. During the period of youth, the blessed perfection did not enter school. He was not willing to be taught. This fact is well established among the Persians of Tehran. Nevertheless, he was capable of solving the difficult problems of all who came to him. In whatever meeting, scientific assembly, or theological discussion he was found, he became the authority of explanation upon intricate and abstruse questions presented. Until his father passed away, Baha'u'llah did not seek position or political station, notwithstanding his connection with the government. This occasioned surprise and comment. It was frequently said, "How is it that a young man of such keen intelligence and subtle perception does not seek lucrative appointments?" As a matter of fact, Every position is open to him. This is an historical statement fully attested by the people of Persia. He was most generous, giving abundantly to the poor. None who came to him were turned away. The doors of his house were open to all. He always had many guests. This unbounded generosity was conducive to greater astonishment from the fact that he sought neither position nor prominence. In commenting upon this, his friends said he would become impoverished, for his expenses were many and his wealth becoming more and more limited. Why is he not thinking of his own affairs? They inquired of each other. But some who were wise declared, this personage is connected with another world. He has something sublime within him that is not evident now. The day is coming when it will be manifested. In truth, the Blessed Perfection was a refuge for every weak one, a shelter for every fearing one, kind to every indigent one, lenient and loving to all creatures. He became well known in regard to these qualities before the Bab appeared. Then Baha'u'llah declared the Bab's mission to be true and promulgated his teachings. The Bab announced that the greater manifestation would take place after him and called the promised one, him whom God shall make manifest, saying that 9 years later, the reality of his own mission would become apparent. In his writings, he stated that in the 9th year, this expected one would be known. In the 9th year, they would attain to all glory and felicity. In the 9th year, they would advance rapidly. Between Baha'u'llah and the Bab, there was communication privately. The Bab wrote a letter containing 360 derivatives of the Abdu'l-Baha. The Bab was martyred in Tabriz, and Baha'u'llah, exiled into Iraq in 1852, announced himself in Baghdad. For the Persian government had decided that as long as he remained in Persia, the peace of the country would be disturbed. Therefore, he was exiled in the expectation that Persia would become quiet. His banishment, however, produced the opposite effect. New tumult arose, and the mention of his greatness and influence spread everywhere throughout the country. The proclamation of his manifestation and mission was made in Baghdad. He called his friends together there and spoke to them of God. At one point, he left the city and went alone into the mountains of Kurdistan, where he made his abode in caves and grottos. A part of this time he lived in the city of Sulaymaniyah. 2 years passed, during which neither his friends nor his family knew just where he was. Although Baha'u'llah was solitary, secluded, and unknown in his retirement, the report spread throughout Kurdistan that this was a most remarkable and learned personage, gifted with a wonderful power of attraction. In a short time, Kurdistan was magnetized with his love. During this period, Baha'u'llah lived in poverty. His garments were those of the poor and needy. His food was that of the indigent and lowly. An atmosphere of majesty haloed him as the sun at midday. Everywhere he was greatly revered and beloved. After 2 years, he returned to Baghdad. Friends he had known in Sulaymaniyah came to visit him. They found him in his accustomed environment of ease and affluence and were astonished at the appointments of one who had lived in seclusion under such frugal conditions in Kurdistan. The Persian government believed the banishment of the Blessed Perfection from Persia would be the extermination of his cause in that country. These rulers now realized that it spread more rapidly. His prestige increased. His teachings became more widely circulated. The chiefs of Persia then used their influence to have Baha'u'llah exiled from Baghdad. He was summoned to Constantinople by the Turkish authorities. While in Constantinople, he ignored every restriction, especially the hostility of ministers of state and clergy. The official representatives of Persia again brought their influence to bear upon the Turkish authorities and succeeded in having Baha'u'llah banished from Constantinople to Adrianople, the object being to keep him as far away as possible from Persia and render his communication with that country more difficult. Nevertheless, the cause still spread and strengthened. Finally, they consulted together and said, "We have banished Baha'u'llah from place to place, but each time he is exiled, his cause is more widely extended. His proclamation increases in power, and day by day, his lamp is becoming brighter. This is due to the fact that we have exiled him to large cities and populous centers. Therefore, we will send him to a penal colony as a prisoner, so that all may know he is the associate of murderers, robbers, and criminals. In a short time, he and his followers will perish." The Sultan of Turkey then banished him to the prison of Akka in Syria. When Baha'u'llah arrived at Akka, through the power of God, he was able to hoist his banner. His light at first had been a star. Now it became a mighty sun, and the illumination of his cause expanded from the east to the west. Inside prison walls, he wrote epistles to all the kings and rulers of nations, summoning them to arbitration and universal peace. Some of the kings received his words with disdain and contempt. One of these was the Sultan of the Ottoman Kingdom. Napoleon III of France did not reply. A second epistle was addressed to him. It stated, "I have written you an epistle before this, summoning you to the cause of God, but you are of the heedless. You have proclaimed that you were the defender of the oppressed. Now it has become evident that you are not, nor are you kind to your own suffering and oppressed people. Your actions are contrary to your own interests, and your kingly pride must fall. Because of your arrogance, God shortly will destroy your sovereignty. France will flee away from you, and you will be overwhelmed by a great conquest. There will be lamentation and mourning, women bemoaning the loss of their sons." This arraignment of Napoleon III was published and spread. Read it and consider: one prisoner, single and solitary, without assistant or defender, a foreigner and stranger imprisoned in the fortress of Akka, writing such letters to the Emperor of France and Sultan of Turkey. Reflect upon this, how Baha'u'llah upraised the standard of his cause in prison. Refer to history. It is without parallel. No such thing has happened before that time, nor since. A prisoner and an exile, advancing his cause and spreading his teachings broadcast, so that eventually he became powerful enough to conquer the very king who banished him. His cause spread more and more. The Blessed Perfection was a prisoner 25 years. During all this time, he was subjected to the indignities and revilement of the people. He was persecuted, mocked, and put in chains. In Persia, his properties were pillaged and his possessions confiscated. First, there was banishment from Persia to Baghdad, then to Constantinople, then to Adrianople, finally from Rumelia to the prison fortress of Akka. During his lifetime, he was intensely active. His energy was unlimited. Scarcely one night was passed in restful sleep. He bore these ordeals, suffered these calamities and difficulties in order that a manifestation of selflessness and service might become apparent in the world of humanity, that the most great peace should become a reality, that human souls might appear as the angels of heaven, that heavenly miracles would be brought among men, that human faith should be strengthened and perfected, that the precious, priceless bestowal of God, the human mind, might be developed to its fullest capacity in the temple of the body, and that man might become the reflection and likeness of God, even as it hath been revealed in the Bible. Let us make man in our image. Briefly, the Blessed Perfection bore all these ordeals and calamities in order that our hearts might become enkindled and radiant, our spirits be glorified, our faults become virtues, our ignorance be transformed into knowledge, in order that we might attain the real fruits of humanity and acquire heavenly graces, in order that although pilgrims upon earth, we should travel the road of the heavenly kingdom. And although needy and poor, we might receive the treasures of eternal life. For this has he borne these difficulties and sorrows. Trust all to God. The lights of God are resplendent. The blessed epistles are spreading. The blessed teachings are promulgated throughout the East and West. Soon you will see that the heavenly words have established the oneness of the world of humanity. The banner of the most great peace has been unfurled, and the great community is appearing.